story about a kid you'd like, clinging to life with all his might. I ain't dreaming, but it's a fright, cause the kids face a terrible plight. Everyday hearts are broken when innocence becomes the shattered token. Imagine losing one sight to the end of a cigarette's light, from the hands of your drug-addicted mama who refuses to treat you right. All those years of being confused, truth told you you were only being used by an uncle who also had been abused. No father to see you through, so your uncle gave you the only love he knew.
Like you're stuck with the childhood blues, just pondering on what to do. Rather go to city be will you? A righteous comprehension you'll see, because it gave new light to me.
Garden City, find your freedom. In Garden City, find your freedom. Garden City, find your freedom. In Garden City, find your freedom.
Good grades you made in school, despite your uncle's bedside visits, which were few. But your declining mental health was the clue, and your mama knew, but there was nothing she'd do after a few hits from Uncle Joe's rockery brew. A young boy filled with hate, trying to rid the life he constantly fakes, just missing the casket drape after taking all those pills he ate. Waking up to the doctor's grin, saying today's fate wasn't your end. 2 years had passed before you realized that you were being raped again and again. You're 21 now and still you gave in. Don't know how much longer he can pretend, coping with this twisted maze he's in, always trying to blend in with the happy faces that seem to be going places. How can a child survive with a life filled with conniving? Another life with no future in sight. Tainted souls given to the pedophile's delight. Kids in London, Paris, Brazil, and Mexico too. But in Morocco and Kenya, the Africans rule. Can the battered youth depend on you?
Like you're stuck with the childhood blues, just pondering on what to do. Rather go to city be will you? A righteous comprehension you'll see, because it gave new light to me.
A year ago when his mama died, all the things she tried to hide came alive in a place where an adjudicator presides. But his uncle asked for a plea, and wouldn't you know it, that unbelievable judge set him free. For sure now you'd have to flee, knowing that your uncle would never let you be. Stuck with the childhood blues, not knowing that Garden City saved the abused. Understanding this predicament to be your underlying bewilderment, you're at home barricaded and alone, sitting on the bed in dread of all the things going through your head. Could the judge be right? Your accusations were filled with hype. Left with nothing else to lose, the only thing to choose was an old pistol that his mama used. But the bright light on the bedroom wall surely saved him from the fall, as he hesitates to pull the trigger of the gun that begins to levitate. Stuck with the childhood blues, not knowing Garden City saved the abused. Ending it all would seem to be right. The horror of living with sleepless nights created the meaningless life. But then there was my good friend Ben. Boy, what a happy family he was in. Only made me wish for a different king. Another winter sets in, and that's when the mess begins.
Like you're stuck with the childhood blues, just pondering on what to do. Rather go to city be will you? A righteous comprehension you'll see, because it gave new light to me.
monster that lives inside. A lifeless kid grown into a young man without any pride. Kids in London, Paris, Brazil, and Mexico too. In Morocco and Kenya, the Africans woo. Can the battered youth depend on you? No sense in holding it in. This is the beginning of the end.
For those of you who know, and for those of you who may not be aware of, April 30th of each year marks the end of Child Abuse Awareness Month. But I'm here to say that child abuse awareness should be every day, of every month, of every year. I'm R.C. Tabb, author of Garden City. A different story about child abuse. I wrote this epic fiction because I was inspired by the kids that I worked with in the city of Atlanta during the years of the child murders. And even though those days are long gone and behind us, child abuse is still a big problem. And not just here in the U.S., but throughout the whole world. From kidnappings and suicides, murders and molestations, being bullied at school and beat at home, to gang violence and school shootings. An abused kid almost always has a horror story to tell. The same horror that many of us would rather not hear or think about. But with the novel Garden City, we can all be inspired to change the horror story in the life of a kid who's been abused to a kid in a life with a happy ending. Just by reading about the one girl who defied all the odds of child abuse, changed the ideas of entire communities, and led a multitude of abused kids to the magical freedom of Garden City. Now go find the freedom.